leading them round, we have the Sea King. And there's a common denominator between all these three in that they're all Westland license-built developments of products from the American company Sikorsky. The Whirlwind was based on the Sikorsky S-55, the Wessex on the S-58, and the Sea King on the S-61. The Sea King first came into British military service when it was selected by the Royal Navy as a Wessex replacement in the anti-submarine role back in 1966. It entered service as the Sea King HAS-1 in 1969, and it took a few years on from then for the RAF to order 15 initially to replace its search and rescue Whirlwinds. And the first RAF Sea King came into service in September 1977. At various points the fleet was boosted, including after the Falklands War in 1982, because Sea Kings were needed out there to provide search and rescue facilities in the South Atlantic. And then later, when the final search and rescue Wessex were retired in the 1990s, 6 HAR-3A models, and it was those we used to see here with 22 Squadron from Watership, were ordered to replace the last of those Wessex. So there's the Sea King with the Wessex and the Whirlwind in the ship. It's the Wessex. The first Wessex, built by Westland itself, took to the air in June 1958, and it too was ordered by the Royal Navy first as an anti-submarine helicopter, with service entry in 1961, and it was the first anti-submarine helicopter that was designed as such for the Royal Navy from the outset, and it was the first with gas turbine power. They gave the Royal Navy's anti-submarine warfare helicopter force much better capabilities in the night and all-weather spheres than it had had before, with its big payload and all-round superior performance to the Whirlwind. The HAS-1 model gave way to the Mark III in Royal Navy service from 1967. But by then, the RAF was operating the type of the Wessex HC2, much improved with twin or Rolls-Royce known engines. It was ordered as a general-purpose transport. It could also operate in the ground assault role with anti-tank missiles and machine guns. They're able to carry up to 16 fully equipped troops or an underslung load of some 4,000 pounds. And those RAF Wessex HC2s operated worldwide in support of British and Allied forces. They served for many years in Northern Ireland, and upon the handover of the territory to Chinese control in 1997, RAF Wessex were the last British military aircraft stationed in Hong Kong. The HU-5 model we see on display here was developed as a twin-engine version for the Royal Navy, operating in the Royal Marines Commando support role, flying from assault ships. They flew in significant numbers during the Falklands campaign, deploying members of both the SAS, the Special Air Service, and the SBX, the Special Boat Service, moving men and material around the theatre. It came at a cost. 9 Wessex were lost during the Falklands campaign, 6 of them in the sinking of the Atlantic conveyor transport ship alone. It was destroyed following an attack by Argentine Super Étendard strike aircraft and their intercept missiles. as it took on the search and rescue role with both the RAF and Royal Navy, the yellow RAF ones, just as with the one before them, and the Sea King subsequently very visible around the country's coasts for many years, not least flying from RAF Contashore in Norfolk. The Navy retired their last Wessex in 1988, the RAF in 2003. This one spent a long time with the Royal Navy Commander Helicopter Force, the so-called Jumping Force, at least out in the Far East, and then it was transferred to the search and rescue role. It went back to commando tasks with 845 Naval Air Squadron in the Falklands in 1982, having been flown out there as cargo aboard one of the Short's Belfast airlifters of heavy lift cargo airlines. Came back aboard the Royal Fleet Auxiliary ship Oliver in November 1983, and it was retired 3 years later, becoming a ground instruction airframe. At one point it was actually allocated to the Royal Navy Historic Flight, but it ended up being bought by Andrew Whitehouse, and it flew again on the 15th of February 2009 from their base, the Historic Helicopters base at Chard Equestrian in Somerset, after 10,000 hours had been spent on its restoration. International Air Day. This makes it TBC Wessex Sovereign Power Centre, the Sea in the Whirlwind, passing overhead. Display there, the Wessex transitioning back to forward flight. That's going to join up with the Sea King as they hold off while we enjoy the wonderful sight and sound of the Whirlwind with its Bristol Siddeley gnome turboshaft engine. Gives this machine a cruising speed of just 104 miles an hour. So transits into wind are a rather lengthy procedure. The first version, in fact, to be used by the British military was the HAR-1 Rescue and Communications Helicopter for the Navy, which was powered by the Pratt & Whitney Wasp radial piston engine. That came into use in 1954. The first RAF Mark, the HAR-2, had the same power plant. Now at that time, in 1955, RAF Air Sea Rescue, as it was still known, rather than Search and Rescue, was part of Coastal Command, and number 22 Squadron started re-equipping with Whirlwind to its base at Thorney Island. They were painted yellow, setting the trend for RAF Search and Rescue helicopters to come. And they were equipped with a winch and a scoop net to rescue survivors. Detachments were set up around the UK. There were several other versions for both the Navy and the RAF. This Mark 10 Ultimate RAF variant with the Roman turboshaft engine. Whirlwinds replaced by Wessex 202 Squadron was its last RAF operator in the air sea rescue role. The Sea King started arriving from 1978. The last ones in service overall were with the Search and Rescue Training Unit at Valley, which lingered after the final active service examples had been phased out. This one gives you an idea of the geographical spread of the search and rescue coverage that these machines provided around the UK. It served with number 22 Squadron at St Morgan in Cornwall, having first flown in 1956. 6 years later it went to number 202 Squadron at Leconfield in Yorkshire. In 71 it went up to Lucas in Fife. The following year to Coltishall in Norfolk. Then 2 years later to Chivenor in Devon, and it was with the Search and Rescue Training Unit at Fittingly in Yorkshire until its retirement in 1981. I'm sure there'll be some of you in the audience for whom the Whirlwind is a hugely nostalgic sight in its own right. From the days of these fine helicopters being used to provide air sea rescue coverage. This one became an instructional airframe with the Search and Rescue Engineering Wing at Fittingly. It was then bought by a private owner, Brian Austin, at Cricklade in Wiltshire in 1993. He restored it to flying condition, and it was based there for a few years. It then went to an owner in the Republic of Ireland and carried on flying there. The White House bought the aircraft as the founding member of the historic helicopters fleet in 2013. It then had an expired certificate of airworthiness. It was brought back to flying condition and started the period events again from 2014.
It wasn't actually scheduled, but just them to watch the Wellington show. But the announcers go for a stick around and see it take off.
Absolutely marvellous characterful machines, all of these. And they tell an enormous part, just these three types, of the story of British military rotary wing aviation. And we'll see that further represented by the Sioux and the Scout of the historic Army aircraft flight that we've got coming up next.
That's what it sounds like.
Two squadrons of Sea Kings numbers 22 and 202 operated from detachments around the UK with Sea Kings. They provided 24-hour search and rescue cover and 15-minute readiness in daylight, 45-minute readiness by night. And they form part of a nationwide search and rescue service. Sikorsky F-61 helicopters, close relatives of course of the Sea King, operated on behalf of HM Coast Guard. Also part of that service, the 4 RAF mounted rescue teams, and it was all coordinated by the Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Centre at RAF Kinloss in Scotland. As far as equipment was concerned, the Sea King was equipped with an hydraulically operated main rescue hoist, an electrically operated emergency rescue hoist, and it had electrical And of course, all RAF search and rescue crews were trained to operate using night vision goggles over unfamiliar terrain. On board one of these aircraft in service would have been a standard crew of 4, 2 pilots, one of whom acted as the aircraft captain, the radar operator who performed the job of winch operator at the rescue scene, and the winchman who was normally trained to paramedic side. Would supply the immediate first aid and recovery services at the rescue sites. And my goodness, there were some difficult ones of those. RAF Sea Kings took part in many hugely high-profile rescues, including the disaster of